Yeah, representing Arizona. Yeah. Oh, wait a second. So Sicario is directed by Denis Villeneuve and stars Emily Blunt, Josh Brolin, and Benicio del Toro. And this movie has a very simple premise to it. You have Kate, played by Emily Blunt, who is a very skilled FBI agent who volunteers to help out an entire group of elite agents in order to try and take down a cartel which is invading the US and bringing in drugs and killing people. However, when you bring on the director of such great movies like Enemy and Prisoners, you know this movie isn't going to just be a regular average movie. Villeneuve once again shows his amazing directorial skills by putting together a phenomenal cast, a really well done storyline, and some really fantastic cinematography to make a pretty well done movie. Now, I've seen Emily Blunt in a lot of things, and usually she's pretty good, but in this movie she really outdoes herself and makes this one of her best roles. As an FBI agent who has to constantly deal with cartel activities, from drugs to explosions to dead bodies being found, Emily Blunt could play a character that has no heart and is just a stone cold person who can pretty much do anything she wants and not really give a crap about anything. However, that's not the role she plays. She plays a role that actually shows how her job is affecting her character. Her character is slowly being damaged by this job, and when she takes up the voluntary position to help out this elite squad, it even affects her more, and really, Emily Blunt does an amazing job showing this. She's great at showing emotion not only through words but through her actions without words, and overall she is fantastic. Josh Brolin also does a pretty good job at his role in this film as the director of this mission. He brings humor to this movie, but not in the way that's like supposed to be really funny. It's actually a really dark comedy because his character is not a nice guy. Usually it's really funny because he's being mean to someone or he's making a dark joke, but overall his character is really well done and I really enjoyed him. The best role in this entire movie, though, definitely goes to Benicio del Toro. He does fantastic in this film. It's the best I've seen in years from him. He's not like any other character in this entire film. His character is full of mystery and awesomeness while also being a very brutal character, and one that keeps you wondering, who is he throughout the entire movie? Overall, he is probably the best acted character in this entire movie, but all of the main characters in this movie do really well done jobs at playing their roles. Now, with the generic storyline of pretty much the FBI going after the drug cartel, this movie could just have like a cheesy storyline that ends with something that you can predict. However, this is not the case with this movie. It adds a gripping storyline to it that keeps you wanting to know more the entire way through the movie and never really is super boring. I will say that the second act of this movie becomes a little bit too slow at times, and I do think that some scenes are a little bit boring. I think the last act of this movie definitely makes up for it. The last act is phenomenal. I love the entire last act, and the first act also is really well done, and overall the second act of the movie is a little bit slow, but overall it does add a lot to it. However, one of the best things about Sicario is the cinematography used throughout the entire film. Roger Deakins is the cinematographer for this film, and he's become very famous over maybe the past, I don't know, 20 to 30 years. In recent years, he's done movies like Prisoners, Unbroken, and Skyfall, but in the past he's done a lot of Coen Brothers films such as Fargo, No Country for Old Men, and an array of other ones, and has done the cinematography for my favorite movie of all time, Censored. And in this movie, Roger Deakins really shows that he knows what he's doing. This entire film is filmed beautifully, especially the third act of this film. The third act opens up with this amazing scene. It's one of the best scenes for this entire year, and I'll be surprised if this movie doesn't get nominated for Best Cinematography at the Academy Awards. And though the action scenes in this movie are definitely the best shot, even scenes where it's just narrative between two characters are shot really well, and overall it's one of the better parts of this entire movie. Now, though this movie is really well done, it does have a few flaws to it, one of them being the fact that the storyline is a little bit slow at times, but there's also a character in particular that I felt kind of dragged the movie down at points. As I said before, the second act of this movie definitely slowed down for me. I felt that there were a few scenes that were either a little bit too long or were just too narrative driven, and there should have been more going on in them. It didn't make those scenes bad. There were some really interesting scenes, but it was pretty slow in the middle act of it, and there were a few times where I was kind of bored. Also, though Emily Blunt did a really good job playing her character, I did feel like at times that her character did drag down the movie. So the movie was trying to show her morals and how it was affecting her in her entire life and how it was affecting the mission. I did feel like at times it was becoming a little bit too overshadowing of everything that was going on. I think that's what drags down part of the second act of this movie, because it focuses a lot on her because she's a main character, but at times I did find her character a little bit annoying. I was hoping that it would go on to more action or more scenes that was telling the story of the cartel. The only other problem I have with this film is that there is sort of a subplot to the film that I won't get into because it will contain spoilers, but I will say that I did detract from the film for me. It was trying to make you care about these characters in particular, but it really didn't do much for me, and I kind of felt that those scenes were just a little bit too out of place. Overall, Sicario is a pretty well done film. It has some really fantastic acting throughout the entire film. The cinematography is great. It's definitely Academy Award worthy. The storyline in this film is pretty well done except for a few slow parts in the middle of it, and it has a fantastic finale to the film with some really great and tense action scenes throughout the entire movie. And though I did have a few problems with some plot devices and some characters, I overall had a really good time with Sicario. I think it's a really well done film. I don't think it's better than Prisoners, but I do think it probably is better than Enemy, and I will give Sicario 4.25 stars. Guys, let me know below if you see Sicario and what you think about it and what your favorite drug bust cartel film is. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.